Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Black Eel Podcast. Here are your hosts, Scott and Mike. So, Mike's here because he wants to be, mostly because I messed up what I was going to say. This episode is going to have. This episode is going to be jam packed as usual. We have 3 episodes to talk about. We have the latest episode of The Acolyte. We have the latest episode of My Adventures with Superman. And we have the latest episode of The Boys. We also are going to be talking about, before we get into all of that, talking about the latest trailer for Kite-Man Hell Yeah. And we will then end with a character spotlight from Mike, and we have an announcement to make at the end. So please make sure to stay tuned to the very end to hear our news.
Before we get going, I just want to say real quick. You put the background on because you wanted to, be like block everything behind you.
No, but I have the light.
I have this giant.
No. I like the glare. No, the glare helps. The glare lights everything up. And you know what's funny? I'm doing this, like at first I did it because, it's going to work. And now because it doesn't, I'm keeping it there just for spite. Because it's like, you know what? It's not working. Let's just keep it the way it is. Because it's
okay. Yeah, let's punish the people that are watching for just because.
Actually, to be fair, it's not that bad. It could be worse.
I'll be honest. When you moved the camera, it got worse. So
no, when I moved the other way, it did. So yeah.
That's funny.
No, it's. I
noticed it last night, and just.
No, I know, but you know what? It covers a lot of stuff, so I'm fine with it. But anyway, I hate this.
Just derail your motivation right there.
Pretty much. I'm like, all right, the podcast is canceled forever. So anyway, let's talk about Kite-Man Hell Yeah, because that looks really good, and I wasn't expecting what we got. So apparently Kite-Man is getting his own bar, basically like Cheers, and they're having all of the supervillains who are like low-level supervillains, be a part of the bar. And somehow Dane's there, which I find funny.
Well, I mean,
I know he's not
the main villain, but he's not really.
Well, like out of all of the people we've seen, he's like a major villain. But like when you compare to, well, no, that is true. There was one other one that I was surprised to see.
Yes.
But I'm talking about like in general before that scene.
For the most part.
Yeah, he's like the major villain we saw, and then we happened to see Darkseid, and I was like, oh. But apparently he's moved on from Poison Ivy, and now is dating.
He has a new fiance, which is I'm very happy for him.
Golden Glider, who is apparently very powerful.
Yeah.
I thought she was like a joke, like Kite Man, like she glides and stuff, and then I saw her like rip apart people, and I was like, oh, okay. I guess she's not a joke.
Out of everybody, it's only Kite Man that's the joke.
Yeah, no, 100%. So anyway, it looks good. I think it's coming out when? I literally watched
July 18th, next week.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I know.
Oh no, I gotta catch up on Harley Quinn. Oh no.
Oh.
Because I just need to make sure that I'm not missing out on something.
Yep, it's not this coming week; it's next week.
Oh yeah, but I'm gonna have to like binge Harley Quinn, which is not that big of a deal. Like I could do it, but it's gonna be a hassle, just because I think I'm on season 3 ? And I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything important to the start of Kite-Man.
Harley Quinn is only 10 episodes, anyways, right?
Yes, but aren't they an hour each?
No.
They're 40. Aren't they 45 minutes?
Are they?
I thought they were. I could be. If it's 20, huh?
I'm pretty sure it's like 25 minutes.
If it's 25 minutes, then I have less of a concern.
I'll tell you right now as soon as it.
But yeah, so I'll have to. We both will have to catch up on Harley Quinn just to make sure we're not missing up on the hot goss of the supervillain.
Every episode is 23 minutes.
Okay, I should be able to do it then.
Except, so they are.
There's a couple episodes I know that are longer, like the finales and stuff.
Season 2 finale is still 23 minutes, but season 2 is 13 episodes.
Oh, okay.
But that doesn't really matter, obviously. Season 3 Season three's finale is 45 minutes, and there is 11 episodes.
So it's basically the same
Um,
amount.
yeah, and then season 4 has 10 episodes, and they are 23 minutes each.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to figure out where I left off. In worst case scenario, I just watch the whole series again. Um,
Because in all honesty, the 10 to 13 episodes is pretty manageable.
no, it is, especially at 23 minutes.
Yeah.
At 23 minutes, yeah. If it was 45 minutes, I'd have a problem. But anyway, so yeah, so I'll have to redo that because I just remembered. Oh shoot, I have to. Darkseid likes lemonade and iced tea,
Yeah.
which is something I wasn't prepared for. I love the voice actor who's playing him.
Yeah, he's familiar.
Yeah, he's been in so many things. Like he's never been like. How do I want to phrase this? I believe he also was in Invincible. No, no, he was not. I'm thinking of somebody else. I was thinking of the twins. You know who I'm talking about? The clones.
Oh, yeah.
No, 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 that's somebody else. Um, I think he is in that show though. But anyway, not the point. He was also in Rick and Morty. He played the president um, of the United States of America. He's got a lot of voiceover stuff. He's also been in. Huh? Oh, you know who he is?
Yeah, Keith David. I know exactly who that is. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So anyway, my point I make. He's been in a bunch of stuff. He's an excellent actor to begin with, but I just out of all the characters for him to play, what?
He was in Gargoyles.
That's what it was. I know there was something major he was in that we watched, and I, for the life of me, couldn't remember.
Yeah. No, he was. Yeah, the three prominent ones that showed up when I looked it up was Rick and Morty,
Yep.
Gargoyles, and Adventure Time.
Oh, he was in Adventure Time. I didn't know that. But anyway,
Then obviously there's the movies, The Thing, and
yeah. I know he's been in a bunch of movies, but like nothing that like I don't think he was ever like a major role. He played more major roles as like voice actor than actor.
Yeah.
But anyway,
no, that's where I recognize him, the Gargoyles. And, yeah.
so Darkseid is there, ordering iced tea and lemonade, and I think the best part is just to be like, oh, it reminds me of my favorite golfer, and I'm thinking to myself, of course, Darkseid has a favorite golfer, and of course the assumption would be Arnold Palmer, and he says somebody else, and Kite Man's like, oh yeah, I love him, and I'm like, I have no idea who that golfer is.
Nope.
But no, I'm looking forward to it. It actually looks pretty good. It looks better than what I thought it was going to be originally. I'm more hyped. I'm more hyped about it.
You know.
No, I was just gonna say I'm more hyped about it now than I was with the first trailer.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's still what I expect it to be. I expect it to be a joke. It's supposed to make you laugh, and as long as it does that, I'm gonna be happy with it because I mean, Kite-Man's a joke. He's meant
No,
to
I
be
agree.
comedic. He's meant to be the comedic relief. So this entire show is going to be premised around that. Maybe some serious moments in it, but I mean, I'm not going into the show expecting to be like.
It's not.
torn
Yeah,
apart from
it's not gonna be the greatest show ever, but it's meant to be a joke. You're right. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. So that's coming out in 2 weeks. Wonderful. Add that to the list of stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm liking it, but at the same time, I'm like, because then we have also Deadpool and Wolverine coming out too.
Yeah, that comes out this month, right?
At the end of this month, I believe the 26th.
Is it? Okay. Well, at least most of our stuff will be done by then.
Yeah, I know that. It's sad when I say that Deadpool and Wolverine will be our break.
July 25th.
Oh, I was one day off. Give it to me. So Mike has not seen this yet. However, we are going to be talking about this soon. The Suicide Squad anime. Oh my gosh! So we're going to be probably talking about 4 episodes probably next week.
God,
Yeah.
Next week is going to be a 4-hour episode.
No, I don't think we are going to be talking about Suicide Squad as much as you think. You'll understand when you see it.
That's fair.
But I want your opinion on this Clayface so bad.
Okay.
But anyway, so we'll talk about that next week. No big deal. So let's get right into the heart of it all. and get right into what we really wanted to talk about today, which is let's start with the Acolyte first. So, like Mike and I were talking about this off camera. This is an episode we were expecting. There was
Mhm.
nothing. There was nothing happened that shocked me.
Yeah,
Everything,
everything went according to how we were expecting it.
yes,
Um,
it wasn't bad. By no means it wasn't bad. I'm just stating like there was no surprise in this episode. The only surprise was when the Green Jedi took out her purple laser whip.
yeah, Vernestra Rowe.
Yeah.
Um, I know her because I've read the High Republic books, and she was a character in the High Republic books.
Oh, so she's a character that has existed.
Yes,
Oh, I did not know that. So has she had that weapon?
yes.
Oh, so it wasn't even a shock to anybody except for me because I didn't read the High Republic books.
If people don't have, if people for people who have not read the books, this weapon is a new weapon. So I can understand the surprise to seeing a lightsaber whip. It was in the trailer.
No, it wasn't
Uh,
the trailer, but I what I'm getting at is I was more of the thing of like I thought we were getting it in a different way.
mm,
So like I was more surprised that we got it in the way we did, but had I known she was the one that had it, I wouldn't have
yeah,
obviously been surprised.
so it was actually really funny because this entire time it was when they were this entire series when they were talking about Master Venestra, I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is. It didn't click in my head that they were the same character, and as soon as I saw her take out the whip, I was like, I'm an idiot. It took me seeing the whip to realize that this is Venestra Rowe. So this is basically taking place like obviously I don't know her age and how long her species can live. So this kind of coincides with the High Republic novels. The characters that were prominent in those books clearly are not, at least at the moment, are not around in the show. So, like her masters, in the books, her master ended up dying. So I don't know like how much time has passed since that moment happened.
Okay. So High
Um,
Republic book series start in your opinion starts before this series.
Oh, 100%. Because in the books, in this she's a master. In the books, she is an apprentice.
Oh, okay.
So
That would make
it's
sense.
or she just finished her apprenticeship. She just became a knight.
Yeah, so she's fresh. She's fresh.
Yeah. So this is it's been at very minimum some time.
Okay. No, I just was curious because like I obviously had no idea. So that's interesting. That also explains a lot. Um, yeah, I don't know. I didn't like her. I don't like the way they used her weapon. I'll say that.
I'll be honest. When I'm looking at the show, the whole whip thing didn't look great.
No, this was the first time I have to say that the CGI sucked.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, that didn't look clean. That looks
No,
kind of.
no, I will admit it looked kind of weird. That was the only thing that I wasn't happy about, but it wasn't anything crazy because I guess the idea was just to show it, and like it did it like it wasn't like it was meant for fighting or anything like that. It was literally used just to show that she had it. Like yeah, it killed the beetle, but let's be honest, any one of them could have killed the beetle.
But she was the only one that sensed it.
Also true, but you understand the point I'm making though.
Yep.
Like
No, no,
so,
I get it.
my whole thing was like it wasn't like a major fight or anything, so I'm less mad about it. However, I hope it's better if it's used again, because I wasn't a huge fan of what it looked like.
So I have a question for you, based on how this episode is. They were playing out the investigation scene. Do you
Which one are you
believe?
talking about? When the now are you? You're that's stupid of me. You're talking about when she and the rest of the Jedi are there
Yes.
on the planet.
Yes. Do you believe that she thinks Soul betrayed the Order, or do you think she thinks it's something else?
I think she knows it's something else, but doesn't know what it is. Meaning,
I'm
like,
I'm on this. I'm on your side with that. I definitely don't think she thinks it's Soul. Um, I do. I have a feeling she has an inclination. She knows what it is or who it is.
but she won't admit it
It's
because in her mind it doesn't exist.
yeah. I'm looking at it as like she's trying. She's as we said this entire series. It seems like this is the beginning of the fall of Jedi. So she's trying to cover it up to protect the Jedi Order.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense because the fact that everyone is like, no, it's Saul, like it's Soul. I was like, what planet do you live on? Like, I mean, that was just my thing because I was just like, like that guy directly went to Soul being like they went to that before thinking that there was anybody outside the Jedi Order who could do that. And to me,
Well,
that
they saw it was a lightsaber, so that were killing these people.
true.
So
Yeah, no, I do get that.
and again, in their head, there are no more Sith. There are no. If someone kills someone with a lightsaber, it's a fallen Jedi. It's not a dark side user. It is not. I
You
can't
know
even
what?
think of
That's
anything.
no,
It is not a Sith.
that's actually very fair, and I keep forgetting that piece. But you understand the point I'm making. Just like they
Yep.
automatically go that somebody's betrayed them, then the fact that oh no, somebody like attacked them.
Yep.
Uh,
My only thing is like Saul reported it. If he didn't, if he wanted to cover it up, he wouldn't have reported it.
no, I that's kind of more of my thing.
So
Um,
that's my only thing where it's like this is where they're kind of being stupid.
yeah,
But again, situational. I can understand where they're coming from with that thought process.
no, I do too. But you understand what I'm getting at. I'm just like really. Um,
But obviously, the rest of the episode involved Soul and Mai. Soul was kind of distraught. The ship has been broken down.
yep. Which I'm not quite
Mai
positive
is
how that happened.
yeah. Well, I yeah,
Oh,
I don't know.
well, you stopped because like, why did you stop?
Well, no, because I was like maybe Mai sabotaged it kind of to try to get her alone, but then I was like I don't remember seeing like I don't remember there being anything in that episode where that she could have
Like
gotten
it
away
didn't
with it
even like
aside for the moment.
yeah, like it didn't even hint like she did it. You know what I'm saying? Like I was just kind of like,
Yeah.
what are we getting here?
But then also obviously Soul knew the entire time that that was Mai, which we once he got his senses together, we were like, okay, this is gonna be. He knew it was gonna be Mai.
Yep.
I think he was just trying to get her to not do what she was planning to do. I think he was just trying to do it to try to save her, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of people were thinking that it was that Soul knew from the very moment that he woke up from the stun in the last episode, because when he said "Oh, where is she?" and Mai said, "Who is she?" He was like, "Your sister." He didn't say Mai. He said your sister purposely to try to
No, that's fair. I don't
let her
know.
guard down.
I I don't know. I get it if he did. I don't know. I know he definitely knew early on, like early on in the episode. I feel like it was soon that I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of questioning just because he was in a distraught state. He wasn't really focused. I think there was the potential he really just was letting it just happen. And then realized. I think he didn't realize it until they were on the ship. Personally,
I kind
that's
of feel
just.
like
But again,
honestly,
it doesn't ruin it either way. To be honest with you, I'm only stating it just because I'm just curious. I don't understand. Like I don't. But I don't think we know Soul enough because like we actually in this we got exactly what I think the Acolyte was supposed to do. Was Soul looks like the villain right now, and Quamir looks like the hero.
yeah,
Um, and so it's like it's really tough to kind of like because they did a good job of it. I will say this, like although we were expecting all of this, I will say they did a great job of showing like this like the dark side users are not all just completely just straight up bad, and the light force users are not straight up good either. I'm still the only thing I wanted to know, and we better find out next episode, is exactly what happened on their home planet. Because clearly something happened enough that Soul feels bad about it,
oh yeah, yep.
but I don't know because originally I said they killed all the witches, like they
Mm-hmm.
just slaughtered them all. I'm now a little less confident that they did it completely, but I'm very curious to see what that looks like.
I don't think they like slaughtered them. I think just something happened that they did something that resulted in the death
Death of them.
dash the fire and the explosion just escalated.
I think you're right, and I'm very curious to see what that looks like. But anyway, we'll have to find out next episode. But Mike's right. Either way, Soul finds out and he captures her, literally chains her up, and basically is like, "We're gonna talk."
Yep.
So which
Except he said that he was going to go to the High Council and talk though.
I know, and I don't. But the weird thing is, like, he left. So like, I don't think he. I don't know. I don't know. I'm on the fence
Don't
because
forget
I
they're
don't.
still in the shit.
Well, he also left and didn't stay where he was supposed to either.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So like that makes me think he's not actually going to go there.
Hmm. That's no. I think he is. I don't think he.
I don't think he. You're
There's
thinking he didn't want interference to talk to her, and then that way he could get the information he needed to then talk to the council.
Yeah, I think it. I mean, when he said like, "Oh, we're gonna go to the High Council," the Jedi showed up. He left. I don't think he was expecting the Jedi to show up. I think he was just reporting in, and then was going home to report. It just coincided that he left as they showed up.
Okay, I took that differently, but anyway, I took it as he didn't want them there, so he went to interrogate her separately. Because he stops randomly, if you remember, he stops at like a random location.
That I do,
Well,
but that was
I'll
because
say this: we assume it's a random location,
yeah, yeah, it's
and
all
that's
true.
where she's chained up, and he's like, "We're gonna talk." Um, So yeah, we're definitely next episode without a doubt we're gonna find out at the very least Soul's side of the story of what happened.
Yeah, I think so. It's a perfect setup for
If
where
we
how it
don't,
is right now.
if we don't, I'm be very pissed. So then we have Osha and Quimir talking, and this is the weirdest like interaction of people, creatures I've ever seen.
This dude is breaking the internet with his body. Like everyone is in love with his body,
Yes,
and
and he
and they're
showed
doing
he showed
comparison of
he showed a lot of it with just a little bit not shown.
yep, and and everyone is everyone's comparing him and Kylo, so it's like like, oh, this is how you do it, right, Disney? And it's like, wow.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, he definitely showed everything, including his lightsaber.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but yeah,
Uh,
so yeah, he also this is where it gets weird because it's like he's manipulating her, but not in the stereotypical way that we normally see manipulation. He's really
so
doing it very similar, in my opinion, to and I'm probably gonna get a lot of flack for this, but like very similar to Palpatine.
I was about to say, I agree with you. He wasn't doing it in the typical dark side way that you see with the torture and the manipulation.
Yes.
He's manipulating her by being kind and showing that he's in the right and the Jedi are in the wrong. Because he knows the Jedi are hiding something. He knows the Jedi are not always good.
Yes.
So he is trying to show Osha that he can be kind, and then once she falls, that's when he's gonna do what Palpatine did and become. He's going to be her friend, but he's the one in control.
Yeah, and we definitely get that thought process because he mentions the rule of two, which I am jumping ahead a little bit. But this whole episode was him trying to get Osha to try to understand. Because the one thing that has definitely been a confusion for me, although this episode did kind of answer it, um, Osha considered herself still a Jedi? Question mark. And hear me out when I say this, because I might be going a little too far into this, but she still had hopes that she could be a Jedi. Um, even though I know this is going to sound weird to say, but she really felt like she could be a Jedi again because she felt the Force again and everything else. However, we find out that the real reason why she quit was because she failed the exam.
Mm-hmm. She couldn't. She couldn't just
She
like
couldn't
I
let
said
go
in
of the
the
path.
whatever the last episode. She just couldn't grasp it.
Well, no, it sounded like she couldn't let go of the past.
Yeah,
She was tied to the loss of everything, and he's like, I lost everything too, and that's what made me stronger. And that's when she pulls up his lightsaber right to his throat, and he's like, do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
So like this is the thing. When I say she couldn't like put everything together, like the thing about being a Jedi is you can't hold on to attachments into the past.
Which
So,
confuses me because so many of them do.
well, what do you mean?
I don't know. I feel like so many of them did, or at least the ones we saw.
When
Like
you
all the good, like all the really awesome Jedi had connections, like Obi-Wan.
so here's the thing. Like this is one of those things that are it's misunderstood, including me. Jedi can have. They say no attachments, but it meant like when they say no attachments, you have to understand that at the end of the day,
They're gonna die
you
like
have to
everyone
be
else.
able you have to be able to put it away.
Yeah.
So you have to focus on the greater good over your personal wants and desires. So you can get married, you can do what you can have a family, but at the end of the day,
If they die,
you
you can't
can
go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
exactly. You have to understand that your job as a Jedi, the galaxy comes first. You cannot drop everything to go after the family, which is why like they probably for both people like even people in the Jedi misunderstand it. And actually, like I finally got a full understanding by reading the High Republic books because this is talked about. Um, but you can have attachments, just have to be prepared to lose them
And
if needed.
understand that that's part of the way.
Yes, like if you're choosing your family over the galaxy, then that's kind of where the dark side is taking over because you're so passionate about certain individuals that that's what leads to the darkness. Because then, if you cannot accept that you could lose them, your fear and your anger are going to take over.
Hmm.
But at the same time, your love for your family can give you strength in the light
All right, fair
because
enough. No,
it
I think I understand. Um, okay, I don't know. I just it's a tough sell for me because it's like it makes sense because you do need the attachment. I understand that you can't be like so passionate towards that attachment. I sort of get because then you lose your focus and everything else. But you understand the point I'm making. It's just weird. But anyway,
look at it from like the movie standpoint, or even not even the movies, like Anakin and Padme and Obi-Wan and uh, the leader of the Mandalorian, I forget her name, um, Bo-Katan's sister.
oh, yes, yes. No, now I know who you're talking
So
about. I was thinking of a Jedi, and that wasn't the Jedi. That was it was the basically like the set. Was she the Prime Minister of Mandalore?
she was the leader of Mandalore.
Yeah, I know, but I forget the actual title. But anyway, I understand what you're saying.
So like Anakin, his fear for losing Padme led him to the dark side. Whereas with Obi-Wan, his love for he didn't have the fear to lose her. He understood that could always happen. That could be a possibility. And when he finally lost her, he didn't let it consume him. Anakin let his feelings consume him.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is and this is a wrong thing to think about, but I also think some of the Jedi have thought this way too, where we assume that they can't show any emotion, well, that's not
Yes,
accurate.
yes, that is very true. That is not that is a misbelief that even the Jedi do it. And again, like I said, in the High Republic books, this is talked about. This
Yeah.
is actually a major talking point for like basically a whole book.
Oh, okay.
So
But anyway, you understand the point I'm making. So anyway, Osha has the lightsaber to his throat, and he's like, "Do it, do it, do it," and then she doesn't do it, and he's like, "You want to have soup?" And so they have soup, and that Mike's laughing, but I'm not 100% wrong.
you're not wrong.
No, that's the weirdest part. And the thing is, like, that's not even that. It's not even a bad thing. It's just so awesome. So they eat together and everything else, and then he explains what the armor was, which Mike was right about. Um, it apparently dulls the senses and basically has him only move. He can only feel the force, and that's what guides him to do what he needs to do, which I find very awesome. Um, so he wants her to try it on, and she refuses at first because she's like, "No, I refuse. I will never do it. I won't turn to the dark side. I'm a good person." And so she puts it on, and
And then she does it.
I will say this: she puts it on when he's not around.
No, I
He's
thought
not.
he
Yeah,
was.
he's not around at the time she puts it on.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah,
Okay, I thought he
it's
was
after
there.
dinner. It's after dinner. They've done whatever they've done, and he's in his room. I'm assuming he's watching. To be honest with you, because he's a creep. But she puts it on, and all we see is like the slightest little bit of light, and then just her breathing very similar to like every dark side user with a mask.
All two of them.
Three of them. I
Who's
count
the third?
Premiere now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So okay. So yeah, it's Vader, Kumir.
Kylo Ren.
Okay, so I'll be honest. I don't really consider Kylo with the mask because after the after episode 7, it got destroyed and he never puts it back on, basically. So
I know, but it's there. It's there. It
you're
exists.
right.
It exists. It exists.
Yep.
So anyway, so the heavy breathing and everything else, and then it ends just like that. And that, Mike,
Foreshadowing.
my whole thing is, it's like we know 100% I was mad at it. However, she's obviously leaning more towards the dark side, which shouldn't be a shock to anybody.
No.
Um, I think she's going to be more powerful than Mai. I mean, that should be obvious to begin with. Uh,
Mai is very conflicted in what she wants and just put her can't put focus into what she really wants. So it's like
What's really funny is
hindering her.
Mai does whatever somebody wants her to do around her. Osha has only done what she wants to do.
True.
And I find that very interesting because on paper, Mai looks like the strong one, which I think at this moment in time, she is, just because of the training, right? However,
Power wise, I think yes, Mai is more powerful.
for right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But Osha also wasn't training all that time either.
See, it's weird because Osha was training up until whatever, like
6 years
even
ago.
6 years ago, where she stopped being a Jedi, stopped
Yeah,
trying to be a Jedi. That's when she officially cut herself off. So, in terms of training wise, for all we know, Osha could be more trained because she had a more organized training, whereas Mai was just at the mercy of her master.
I'm disagreeing because so you're right about the formal training for sure. What I'm getting at is with 6 years gone, you lose a lot, and so therefore a lot of that training is kind of gone because she's not. There's two things to this, right? So it's the fact that she doesn't remember everything, right? And she doesn't feel confident she can do it because it's been 6 years, and she's not a proper Jedi because she failed. It's a lot of mental stuff, and because of that, that's hindering her.
So so I'm not disagreeing with you. I am just so what I'm saying is that in terms of training wise, in terms of discipline wise, I think May at the moment is better off because she's had consistency for
I agree. No,
for
we are agreeing. We are agreeing.
so I like for May could be more powerful, Osha could be more powerful. I'm just saying like we don't exactly know,
Hmm.
and uh, this is one of those things where the force is kind of just like muscle memory, where you could stop doing it, it doesn't matter, and you're still going to be able to do it. It's just like you said, Osha doesn't have the confidence, so she is holding back.
Agreed.
Uh, so if she can get her confidence, then all her years of training and discipline could potentially come together, and then Mai just is completely blown out of the water.
Yeah.
But no, you are correct with the 6 years at the moment is playing a big factor.
Yeah. What was I going to say now? Yeah. So it literally ends that way. And I'm not a big fan of that.
You hate cliffhangers.
Well, I think this was like literally mid breath. Mid breath, it ended, and I was like, Like, can we at least finish her breath? Can we at least get that? But anyway, I mean, overall, it was not. Yeah, it was a good episode.
No, it was a good episode. Like you said at the beginning, it was what we expected.
Yeah, there was nothing surprising. There was nothing crazy. I just, yeah, I wished a little bit different, but like realistically, we have what, two more episodes, three more
Yeah,
episodes?
there's 8 episodes. 3, because that was a no. This was episode 6. So
Yeah,
yeah,
there's
2 more
two.
episodes,
There's
7
two.
and 8.
Yeah, so we still have a little bit to go. I'm very curious to see what happens. Overall, I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm just curious to see, are we going to see, like, is this going to be like a cliffhanger, kind of like Ahsoka, where we're like, oh great, we have to wait for season two? Because I'm not going to lie to you, it's starting to look that way.
I mean, it could be. Like I told you, this is only season 1 of the show. They said that there was going to be multiple seasons. So
No, I know, but you understand what I'm saying. Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, are they like, you know what I'm getting at? It's like, are they purposely being like, okay, this is season one, we want to get you the taste, and then we're going to have this big thing, and then we don't know what happens. What's going to
So
happen?
I know I mentioned it in the last episode, but there's a lot of people talking about online that this is the next couple episodes are going to heavily hint at uh, Plagueis's master, Darth Tenebacious. I can't say his name.
Yeah, try
So
again. It's fun.
listen, you. um,
I had him for a moment. I had him there for just a moment.
so it, for like we said, like I had said, this could potentially be Quimir's master, and because Cramier is trying to overtake his master, so that way he can have the rule of two. Uh,
Okay.
Quimir could try to revolt at the end of the season and end up failing, and this show could branch out in many different directions. So at the moment, because Quimir is the apprentice, most likely Plagueis is not around yet.
That also makes
Um,
sense. I agree.
or he could be around and just hasn't been taken in yet. But like I said, the current theory is Darth Tenebacious, dude. Um, so we'll see how this actually comes and ties together, and what actually happens in the end. And
Yeah.
for all we know,
I
we
mean,
could get none of it.
also very true. But yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it. I mean, there's not really much. Like I said, there wasn't a major amount that happened in this episode. It was everything we were expecting to happen. It was still good, but it was not a shock at all. Like I said, the shock for me, which apparently if I read books, I wouldn't have been shocked. So
Don't worry, I'll get you there eventually.
basically, kids read books.
Yeah, or listen.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is like get the knowledge from books. Um, yeah, I would have known about the laser whip lightsaber. I knew it existed, but I didn't know her. I'll say that. Um,
See, for me, this is good because this is how you're feeling right now is how I feel whenever you're talking about Marvel stuff. So,
yeah, you know what's funny? I feel less this way with DC because I'm at least more familiar with it than Star Wars. Because DC,
oh
I
yeah,
at least had more knowledge of than Star Wars for sure.
absolutely.
But anyway, so is there anything else you'd like to talk about the Acolyte?
No, let's move on to Superman.
Yeah, so this one, kids, I hope you're prepared for it because the episode gives it away. It is the death of Clark Kent. Clark is dead to the world. He's dead. Dead. This whole episode was actually really good. Um, we learned a lot about way too much that I didn't want to. Um, Brainiac is a very powerful being. Um, Apparently, he was created. Now, again, this is where it gets tough because he's a master manipulator. So, like, I don't trust everything he says.
Oh
Nor
yeah,
should we.
1,000%.
Nor should we.
Well, so here's the thing:
Like,
Brainiac in general.
can I just say this? Like, there's at the very least, his lies have layers of truth to make it believable. So,
All right.
like, it's believable for sure, but it's like it's Brainiac, and it's like, do we truly believe him, or is he just trying to mess with us?
So I have a feeling that some of the memories that Clark was seeing was the alternate universes that he was that that the League of Loises were taking out their Superman.
Oh, that's funny. I had a different thought on that. That's hilarious.
Because obviously Brainiac is a multi-galactic being.
I don't think he is
Multi.
in this. I don't think he's a multiversal in this yet.
I think he is because of the fact, like, because of the scenes where things were getting twisted and Lois in each iteration was taking out Superman. I think that was the a different multiverse of that happening, because he was saying, no, these are your memories. And I understand that he was trying to manipulate him, but when he finally got to the real memory of Lois breaking up with him, that's when Superman stopped fighting. So he was so I don't think I don't think this Brainiac registers that it's different Clarks. He just knows that this is a Superman memory.
I disagree, and here's why I disagree. He was able to see all of Clark's thoughts at once. He was able to process them and go through them. What that also does is it's not just his memories he sees, it's all of his thoughts and fears. Clark has feared all of that stuff that he saw. So by definition could create it without a problem. Obviously it was manipulated to look like it was an actual memory for sure. However, I think it was all of Clark's memories and fears combined together, and because he is able to manipulate it pretty easily, he was able to manipulate the brain waves to show what Brainiac wanted, but also show what was legitimately in Clark's head. It might not have been in Clark's head at the same time. However, he put them together because his fear of his friends not accepting him, his fear of Lois wanting to get rid of him and not want him here, his fear of the human race not trusting him, right? All added up to this together. Because if you noticed, he didn't start showing all of the stuff with Jimmy and I mean all the stuff with Lois until after he realized Clark's weakness.
Oh yeah,
So
no,
the
no,
point I'm
yeah.
making is he would have used other memories of those other villains that he fought in other universes had he then thought that way. So my whole thing is it's one this Brainiac because this is the this Brainiac is weakened because it's stuck in one location because it's got to upload its brain every once in a while, right? Um, so that's why it needs a new host. So the whole point of this episode is Brainiac needs a host.
Yep.
Realistically, that's what this episode was about, and he was trying to use it with Kara, um, and it. I don't know what the issue was. I think she wasn't. I think it was a combination of two things. She wasn't strong enough, and she kept breaking, and not in the way he liked it. Um,
As she kept saying in this episode, she kept disappointing him.
yes. So anyway, so he finally breaks Clark with with regardless of what we think it is, right? It was the moments that he showed Clark of Lois beating him down, basically, emotionally, and then the real one, which we can agree on that one, that really broke him. And then he thought he made it home because he thought he killed Brainiac,
Mm-hmm.
and he
He
goes
thought
home.
he thought he defeated
The simulation, the memory
the
wipe, whatever.
simulation.
So his consciousness is now inside the gem thing, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's with his family, his Kryptonian family. And there's a fight scene between Kara and Brainiac Superman.
Yeah.
And Brainiac Superman is terrifying because he's just like, I can just do what I want. Goodbye. He's like, you are such a
It was really messed up because he tells Kara, he's like, I'm still weak because I still care about you, but
yeah.
I will
But in
do
the
what
same
needs to
token,
be done.
slams her face into the ground.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to know I care so much about you, and that's what makes me weak. As she gets slammed down, and I'm just like, yeah, you definitely love her.
Yeah, hey, tough love.
And then so she tries to protect Jimmy and Lois, which she's successful on to a certain degree, I will say. They're not dead.
Yep,
Um, and Jimmy pulls out the kryptonite, which out of all the people to do so, I was surprised it was him.
I was very surprised.
However, it did not affect Brainiac at all.
It affected Superman, not
Yeah,
Brainiac.
so it was affecting the whole. Like it was affecting the body, but not the host.
Which is the weirdest thing because that
Well,
really confused me.
well, it confused me because to me, Brainiac is Kryptonian. Kryptonian machines get weaker because of kryptonite. So, like, I thought by definition, Brainiac would be weak to kryptonite.
Well, the thing that even still confused me is the fact that Superman, the body was getting affected by the kryptonite, but yet he wasn't weakened.
Well, here's my thing with this, right? We don't know if he wasn't weakened. I know this is weird to say. He didn't experience the pain. He didn't
Mm-hmm.
experience the fatigue or anything else. So my whole thing is, it's like if he was actually trying to fight somebody, I think he'd be weaker because the body would be weaker. But because mentally he is separate, right? He wasn't affected by it, so he could still move. He just couldn't do it as well as everyone else. Because if you noticed, it's not like he beat them, like he didn't throw them out, like literally physically throw them. He opened up the airlock or whatever you want to call it and shot them into space. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I think it does affect him, but I do agree with you. There's a disconnect for me because I feel like it should still affect him
Mm.
because he's Kryptonian. Like
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. So that could also be. I didn't like I said I didn't think of that. So it could be a possibility, and
like
it would make
I
sense to
get
me.
it. Like it's the separation because he's not. It's not his body, but he's controlling it.
Yeah.
But I feel like it should still affect him because he's Kryptonian. And I think, but at the same time, I don't know if his AI is affected the same way because
No, I think it is
no,
because when the ships invaded, the ships were destroyed by the kryptonite, and he controls the ships. So I think he is affected. It's just that it's very confusing,
I
very
don't know.
interesting.
I don't know. It's
Unless that headband thing has some kind of weird immunity.
but he's not wearing the headband anymore, is he? Because it's a new one, right? Isn't it
I thought
removed?
no, I thought he was wearing
With
it.
Lois having that device, I thought that was the one with Clark in it.
That was also the part that confused me a little bit because I'm
Okay.
like, how did Lois get that?
Well, all right. So Lois is a kleptomaniac. So none of that surprises me. However, I think when Brainiac took over, that was gone because it wasn't needed anymore because his consciousness has been removed.
Fair, that's fair.
Now, I do agree with you. They didn't show it.
Mm,
I'm making a lot of assumptions here.
assumptions.
But that's where my mind went to because I'm like, he doesn't want that there because then there's a chance of Clark getting out. Where that way, if it's removed, Clark, like even if Clark is able to break the simulation or whatever, right? He can't get his body back easily.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has to put it back on or whatever, right? There's something else that has to happen. That's my thought. So anyway, in space,
Yeah.
the gorilla and the brain pick up the group, bring him inside, and they're like, Clark is lost. And Lois puts on the device on her head, and she goes in to try to save Clark inside his mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the episode ends. So the next episode for sure is going to be Lois trying to break Clark out of the simulation. And it's going to be an emotional roller coaster. I already know it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. We just need to prepare for that.
Yeah, so mentally, we need to be prepared for that. But that was the episode. Like I said, we've kind of talked about our thoughts on that piece. Like I said, Brainiac is weakened, but also powerful. It's a weird thing. Also, Clark being able. Now, I'm curious: is do you think Clark actually was able to manipulate the memories, or was Brainiac allowing him to think so? Because that's a tough one, right? Because my assumption would be no, but it worked out in Brainiac's favor. However,
I think it was. I think it's a combination. So I think that Brainiac underestimated how powerful Superman's willpower is.
fair.
So he was able to manipulate it, and then once he realized the power extent that he has, then I think he like upped the upped the torture, so to say, and
Okay, no, I agree. I
that's
agree.
when Superman couldn't fight
That's when,
anymore.
well, that's when Superman broke out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He gave him a false illusion
So like
that he
I
was
think at
free.
that very moment, like Brainiac was taken aback.
I
But
agree.
then when he realized what was going on, he was like, okay, I can't just hold off. I can't hold on. I can't play with him. I need to just do this.
Yeah,
Because otherwise I'm going to lose my chance.
I agree. No, I agree. I actually kind of agree on that. I think it was like more of a combination of the two, where like initially it was like, what in the heck? And then he's like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? Let's see this go. I got a plan now. Like now I know what needs to be done. I'm gonna make him think he wins.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was. Yeah, it was definitely. It was an emotional episode. But I think next episode's gonna be even worse. Like meaning like emotional wise.
Oh, yeah.
All
And
right.
I also have to say, I think this episode was a. Obviously, last episode was expected. It was a good episode. Just obviously, like I said, it was the weakest so far of this season.
And I still agree.
And I think this episode just took things back to where they were, where it was just a episode that was just out of just an amazing episode.
Yeah, I think it brought us back to like, all right, we hit the plateau slash the divot, right? And now we're going back to like where we were. So we're not above, we're not the best, right? But we're moving up again.
Yeah,
We're getting ready. We're getting ready. We're getting ready for that next hill. We're getting ready for
like
that major
this is
drop.
how the season's been for me. It's like going up, up, up. And the last episode was that plateau, and then it just started going slightly back up, and then next episode is gonna whoop.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I think it's either going to be that episode or episode 10, the final episode of the season.
Episode 10, I think, is going to be absolute banger. So
Yeah, no, I agree. So yeah, so that's gonna be. So we have only 2 episodes left of that. So be prepared. Um,
it's only
let's
so much prepared I can be.
let's
See, the thing is that I can't be prepared for this show because everything that I think I know about Superman, this show is just like, nah.
actually everything we think about the DC universe.
That's also true.
I'll say that. But yeah, anything else you want to add about this, or do you want to move right on to our next one?
No, let's get this last one done and over with.
All right, so the boys. So this was more uncomfortable than Hero Gasm.
So I have to say, for the most part, there were a few things, but for the most part, I was not a fan of this episode.
What were you not a fan of?
I think this episode was doing things for the sake of only for the sake of having people shocked and uncomfortable, and not to actually help progress what we need to do about, like, no need to progress the show. Like, it was literally just the entire episode of Huey getting sexually assaulted, and it was just
So I actually disagree with you, and here's my thing. So, however, I do think that was only there to shock us, to keep us away from the fact of what was actually going on in this episode. Okay?
well, I mean, there was, so like overall, like the other 2 points that I liked about this episode was I liked Butcher
Yeah.
and I liked A Train. Those were
So,
the 2 things in
no,
this
no.
episode that I liked.
So there were three. So there were major things happening in this. This was an emotional roller coaster on purpose. So it was. I mean, in typical boys' manner, right? They added the sexualness to all this and everything else. However, it fits Tech Knight's character because his family was slave owners and everything else, right? So
The
like,
racist Batman.
yes, and at one point he talks to Firecracker Tech Knight, being like, "Oh no, this isn't Vought money. This is generational money, sweetie. Like you can't get this just from Vought. You have to get generational money." And I'm like, I hate this guy. However,
Yeah.
we're jumping around because there's a key point we got to talk about first. Um, before we even before the episode even starts, we have a gross scene with this universe's version of Spider-Man and
Web shooter, right?
Web Weaver.
Web Weaver. Okay.
I know. I couldn't think of his name. I knew it was Web something, and I looked it up before the podcast. So it's Web Weaver, and he's a heroin addict who is also a sexual deviant. Um, and apparently he shoots his webs out of a hole above his butt.
Mm-hmm.
I have to make that very clear because those are two very different holes
Yep.
for a lot of reasons. MM had to deal with a lot in shoving the heroin in there to get the information that they needed, and they got noticed that Web Weaver was an invited guest at Tech Knight's party because, which they find out a little bit later, obviously, Web Weaver was invited to be the next sidekick of Tech Knight,
Yep.
which we still don't know who his current sidekick is.
Former.
Well, technically, he died as his sidekick, or like you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't. I don't think it was officially like he was no longer the sidekick.
No, he said it. He said it in the episode. He said this is that because Huey was like, "Oh, who's that?" And he's like, "Oh, that was my former sidekick."
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true. Because
Or he lied to me.
he lied to him, and I'm like, I don't know what he lied about, but I'm very curious now
Yeah, yeah.
because we never got that answer. That was the answer we all wanted, and we never got.
Yep. Who it is and what he did.
I thought at least we would have gotten at the very end. He took off the mask. No. But anyway, so
I didn't pay close attention. Did he have like a gag in his mouth, which is why he wasn't talking?
I want to say yes, but I don't know if it was a gag in his mouth or if it was a zipper.
No, I don't think the zipper. I don't think it was a zipper. I think we saw his mouth because I remember at least I remember seeing his lips. I just don't remember if we saw it like an open mouth or just closed.
Yeah, I don't. To be honest with you, I don't remember, and it was such a least memorable thing of that episode that didn't matter. So anyway, we're gonna quickly go over like the broad strokes of everything, and then we'll go into detail about what we want to talk about. Okay, Frenchie's in prison, refuses to see Kimiko. Um, Huey was sexually assaulted by Ashley and Tech Knight, to the point where Tech Knight was gonna make a new hole on Huey to have fun with. Um, and then everyone saved Kimiko and Starlight saved him. I will talk about the other thing in a minute. I know there was a major event that happened, but we'll talk about that in a second. So they come down, they save Huey, they try to torture Tech Knight and can't because he loves physical pain. And that's when the former sidekick breaks out and gets the laptop and basically
Yeah.
donates his money to all charitable causes,
That's what
including
breaks him.
including Black Lives Matters, and tortures this guy to the point where he tells them everything. I'm sorry, I won't do it again. Just please stop.
Apparently, the key to getting a rich man to talk is to donate money.
White man, rich white man.
Yeah, true.
To donate money and everything else. And apparently, the reason why Tech Knight is being used for the Seven and Homelander and Sister Sage is to use all his prisons around, I would imagine, America, to put the resistance to the soups. I guess the best way to phrase it. Oh, I forget how he phrased it. Was it the rebels? Like he phrased it in a way that I was just like, oh, this is just awful. Like,
I think he said
they,
rebels.
yeah, I think so. So anyway, and that's when his butler kills him, chokes him to death, because he was like, I can deal with the sex stuff, but I'm not dealing with slave camps.
Mm-hmm.
And they kill him. They leave, and they escape. And then they kind of like emotionally like deal with what was being said. Like Homelander and Sister Sage are so close to getting to where they want to be, which is overtaking the entire planet
Mm-hmm.
and wanting to have the United States to back them up. Now, there's some things I need to talk about that we didn't talk about right away. MM had a heart attack.
Panic
No,
attack.
no, no, no. He thought he had a heart attack. Shut up.
Thought versus did is different.
He had a heart attack. Um, but what messed with me the most was he shoots Sister Sage in the head because Sister Sage was talking about his daughter and everything she knew about him, and he freaked out and shot her in the head and then had a panic attack. Although it looked like a heart attack, that's when A-Train gets called up by Kimiko, who comes up and brings MM to the hospital, where he gets checked out and turns out to just be a panic attack. And the person explains to him, maybe you should like calm down and take a break. Like, give yourself some time to like give yourself a break so you don't have a real heart attack. And he's kind of just like, I can't. And
Yeah.
based on everything that's happening, he really can't.
He cannot.
No, like the fact that there's the potential of internment camps for humans, like he legitimately cannot take a break.
The bigger problem with it is that like it made it worse. I know he was already dealing with that before, but like it made it even worse because now he's taken over as the leader of the group because obviously they can't trust Butcher. So
Yep.
like, he's put even more on his plate.
He's put more pressure on himself, and although I do believe other people have put pressure on him, I think the person who's putting the most pressure on him still to this day is himself.
Oh yeah,
Like,
100%.
not to say that their people are putting pressure on him. However, he is by far the worst offender of that.
He's worried about his family, and then I mean, you already have
Both
pressure of
families, though, both families, because this is very
both
key
families.
here. Because it's both families, and now the two families. Now he's going to have to choose, or he feels he's going to have to choose, because now with Sister Sage talking about his family, his like biological family and his daughter specifically, he's now like, oh no, like I thought I could separate the two, and now I can't, and now, right? So he shoots Sister Sage in the head. So because he shoots her in the head, she lives.
Yeah, because her brain regenerates.
Correct. And to be fair, I think he would have shot her in the heart had he not been so overly whelmed.
I disagree. I don't think he's aware that her brain regenerates. So he was going to shoot her in the head anyways, if it need be.
Fair. You know
So
what?
because he doesn't know that she probably assumes she's dead.
True, because in on paperwork she does not have a regenerative. She's not
Yeah.
regenerative, which she technically isn't.
Mm-hmm.
But her brain is. So the best part of all that, right? So we have Sister Stage, right? So she gets shot. So let's talk about before she gets shot and then after, because this all ties together, right? So she gets shot. She obviously gets up and goes away. But before that, she's the host. She's really like the main person of this party. She wants this party to pretty much convince um, the right winged fascists. No, yes, no, I'm actually right. The right wing
Yeah.
fascists to allow them to kill the president of the United States so they could be in charge.
Yep.
And that's her big plan for the night. And Homelander's like the muscle, she's the brains, and then Newman's there because she's gonna out herself as a superhuman. Although she doesn't.
No, she's going to take control after the president is dead. So
No, true.
they
But what I'm
want
saying is the original plan was she was supposed
Homelander
to,
wanted her to out herself.
but she
Yes.
does not in this episode. I want to make that clear for a reason because a lot of stuff
Mm-hmm.
happens, right? So this is the whole big thing, right? And Sister Sage pretty much knocks down Firecracker and basically says like, "Oh, this is the big people talk. Get her out of here."
Yep.
Which is so funny. Um, and then so Sister Sage comes back with a bullet in her head, right? And so they're getting ready to have the conversation, and Homelander's like, "Are you okay?" Now he sees the bullet wound. So this is the thing that throws me off, right? in my mind, he should know that it's not her choice that she lost her brain cells,
Mhm.
right? So he knows how smart she is. There's a reason why she's even on his team, right? Like, let's
Mhm.
be honest here. So I don't think he's as mad with her as Firecracker wants him to be, which we'll discuss a little bit later. Um, and I don't like he's mad that she was shot, right? But he's not mad. I don't think he's mad at her, like because she's a failure. And the reason why I say that is just because it's still her plan. I know it sounds
He's
weird.
pissed because now she can't do what she's supposed to do.
Correct, correct.
Like
So he then
he didn't have any. Like he was trying to hype up his plan and whatever, and
they knocked
she
it
was
down.
supposed to do the talking points that of stuff he doesn't know, like the economics, the
Yes,
political factors, and all that other stuff.
correct.
And
And
because she is now a 5-year-old,
with
she cannot what
with cake.
with cake, and
I
now
don't,
she cannot convince the politicians to join them.
correct. So
So that is when.
he tries to do it and he gets demolished. I mean, this
Yep.
is the first time I've seen Homelander be out of his element so much.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
he is getting
I'm just sitting. I'm sitting there watching the episode. I'm like, he's gonna snap and kill them all.
that's legitimately like what I was thinking. I was like, he's gonna kill every single one of them and everything is ruined. He's an idiot.
Yep.
Like that's really and then Newman gets up and is like, boys, let's talk about America. And then she goes on a tangent and basically saves the whole thing and they agree. Right?
And it's funny. It's funny because she basically preaches everything that she personally stands against.
Yes, 100%. So the other thing too is, and the best part is, she doesn't realize what's going on with Sister Sage. So like she
Yeah,
looks at
she's very
Sister Sage,
confused.
looks at Sister Sage, and Sister Sage is like,
And she's like,
and then
and
Newman,
she's
and then
weirded
Newman's
out.
just like, I got nothing. She's like, I don't know what. And so what kills me is it's like because they had a heart to heart to basically be like, and this is a big moment in Sister Sage's backstory. She figured out the cure for cancer.
Yep.
And was laughed at because she was a little black girl that nobody would ever think that she was smart enough or good enough to actually create something like that.
Yep.
And so because of that, she had to listen to her grandmother die slowly and painfully in agony, which a visual I did not need. Um, I'm glad they didn't actually give us a visual, but like I mentally got the visual. Um, and she's like, now I could cure cancer, but why? Humans suck and they're the worst piece of this whole thing. So let's get rid of them all. And that to me was like, wow. Like she's scarier than Homelander.
Oh yeah.
Like I hate saying it. Like I know that sounds weird to say, but Homelander's physically stronger and scarier. Sister Sage has a plan that literally is worse than anything Homelander could ever come up with.
Like you said, Homelander is strong and could kill people, but
100%.
she has the ability to just manipulate,
She is the
torture, make
Homelander
you.
kills people.
She could make you suffer.
No, I think it's even worse than that. Homelander kills you. She gets you to kill each other,
Also true. Yep.
which I think is worse, personally. Um, and we've seen it obviously. But anyway, so we have
Like I
that.
said, she has this very good ability to manipulate.
Yes. So so anyway, after the aftermath of that, Firecracker goes to talk to Homelander, and
She made it so that way she can feed him while not being pregnant.
so we actually knew this in a few episodes ago. The medication that Frenchie found was actually the meds that would actually make somebody produce breast milk.
Oh, that's what that was. Okay.
Yes. However, because I am not a pharmacist, I had no idea what that was.
Yeah.
But the whole idea was that the actual medication actually one of the side effects is producing breast milk while not pregnant.
Oh, okay.
Um, and so the rumor was when that episode first aired, when we saw it, that she was the one providing him breast milk without him knowing. Oh no. Now he does know. Now he does know. However, I'm saying like before that, I think she was
Yeah.
actually the one providing it, whether he knew it or not. Is my thought. But anyway,
Mhm.
she now. The best part is she starts to undress. Well, not really, but she starts to show her breast. And he's like, "I'm not physically attracted to you at all." And she's like, "This isn't sexual," which is, I mean,
Somehow, yeah.
like to me, whatever. I mean, I don't know. That's just me. So anyway, she squirts milk in his mouth, and that's not even an exaggeration. And that's when she's literally, uh,
And he just loses
he he
it.
becomes he becomes the child we saw in season one,
Yeah,
and
that's for sure.
he begins to breastfeed on her, and that is how that part of the episode ends. Now she does mention she. I do want to make this clear that she mentions that Sister Sage is a horrible person and shouldn't be on the team. She failed him, and she won't fail him. And like that was kind of like the main talk of it, and then it was the breast milk, and I clearly got distracted by that more than the context of everything going on.
He was also very ready to kill her
Oh,
because
in a
he thought
heartbeat.
she was the lead.
And to be fair, that scene makes me think that he wasn't even thinking Sister Sage was the leak at all, due to the fact that like he knows she got shot in the head. Like
Yeah,
nobody would get shot in the head on purpose. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
That's just me. So I think he knew that she was obviously weaker than what he expected. She wasn't as competent as he expected. I will agree to all that. However, she herself was not the. He knows that she's not the mole, and I truly do believe that he still thinks that. However, he's also got a mouthful of breast milk, and he's not thinking right. Um,
He's gonna be thinking different thoughts going forward, most likely now.
yeah. So now we got to talk about the major. Even though this was the smallest part of the episode time wise, this was, I think, the biggest part of the episode, which was Butcher. Billy Butcher. The Butcher of Billy.
An official knowledge of what's going on with him.
Yeah, yeah. So I was right.
Yep.
I was right in the sense of like that guy was a figment of Butcher's imagination because apparently he's been dead.
We were both right with that.
I will say though, I didn't realize that the guy was actually dead.
Yeah, and apparently Butcher left him for dead.
Yeah, which is even funnier. Like not haha funny, more like oh funny. Like in like no, you know what I'm talking about. Like there's a difference between like hilarious to being like awkward funny, like oh I have to laugh because it's just so awkward. Um,
You okay?
no, I'm not. I'm not even a little. So, um, yeah, so we have this dichotomy of apparently, and we find this out in the middle of the episode, that Butcher's wife is the good side of his brain, and his former coworker was the bad part of his brain.
And they are both the tumor.
Yes.
The tumor has been shot up with like we said in a couple episodes ago. The tumor was shot up with V.
Yes.
The tumor is manipulating his brain,
Also true.
and he is now finally realized, and we got all the flashbacks, realized that they not only is his wife a figment of his
Which he at
imagination,
least
so
knew she was a figment. He
he
knew.
he knew she was dead.
Yeah.
The other one he did not.
Yeah, that one messed with him. That would mess with him because then he realized, oh, I'm more crazy than I thought.
Yep.
And so the really messed up part was, so the whole idea was the reason why the split happened and the reveal happened was due to the fact that when Butcher realizes that the only way to kill Homelander is to kill all feed up soups, which would also include Ryan, that's when he's like, I don't want to do it. And then that's when the guy's like, you realize you do want this because I am you. I am the part of your brain that is here because you created me in this weird way from your V'd up tumor brain. And he's like, so when I tell you you want to do this, I'm actually being serious that you want to physically do this
I know you want to do it.
because I am you. And it's just like, oh. And that messed with me more because it's like Butcher's realizing like I definitely know that he's got some dark thoughts and all that stuff. However, I think he's realizing it's dark even for him.
Yes. Yep. Um,
And Butcher
and
just, by the way, all this reveal is happening while Samir is tied up with one leg, right?
yep.
As he's
And
having a mental
Butcher is just
breakdown.
attacking the leg just for fun.
No, I'm talking about like he's mentally like breaking down in front of this guy too.
Oh yeah, 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 absolutely. Yep.
Like, yeah, he's doing all that stuff to Samir. I get that, but what I'm getting at too is like he's legitimately breaking down in front of this guy who's like can't do anything, being like, "Oh, what the hell? Like, just kill me at this point."
Oh yeah, like Samir is obviously the one that told him that they stopped trying to create the virus because the only way to kill Homelander is to create one that will wipe out everybody.
Because I
So
think his
they didn't
original,
want to
because
do that.
I think Samir's original plan was to build one strong enough to take out Homelander.
That was the original plan. But then they realized the only way to do that
Is to
was
kill
to
every
wipe
Scoop
everybody out.
because that was the
Um,
only way to make it strong enough.
yes, but that is very contagious. It can spread very easily and is very lethal. So um, that will be obviously we will see what Butcher ends up doing in the
Well, also we don't know
final few
Butcher's
episodes.
powers yet because Butcher's tumor has a power. So
Yep,
I can't wait to see what that is because it was enough to tear apart the Elastic Man, Ezekiel.
yep. And so I'm interested to see if so. Hmm, like the tumor is a mind of its own, kind of.
I am taking it as such, but it's also Butcher. Like it's weird. It's its own mind, but it's because it's made from Butcher. Technically, it's more Butcher-esque. If
So
you
I'm
understand what I'm
curious
getting
if
at.
the tumor will try to like fight back, kind of thing. To so because it won't want to die.
Oh, 100%. Like it's 100%. Like without Butcher being alive, the tumor's dead.
Yep.
However, at the same time, the tumor's also killing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a weird thing. So we'll see what happens. Um, yeah, so I'm curious on that piece. However, I'm also curious of what the tumor's power is because it was, like I said, it was enough to tear that guy apart, and I'm just curious of what that looks like, and if we actually do see it, because I don't know. I feel like,
We're only seeing bits and pieces of it, kind of, because I mean,
which I think it's because it's going to be a huge reveal of what it can do,
yeah, yeah. It's gonna be kind of like the final boss.
basically. Um, but yeah, and that was pretty much the boys. Anything else?
Yeah. No, it's like I said, it's
It's a
I
messed up
just wasn't.
series. It's a messed up series.
Yeah. No, I just feel like a lot of this. I felt like this episode was kind of just over the top shock factor, and like
I don't
it
see. I felt like they could have. I don't know. I feel like it wasn't shocking enough to make me feel that way. However, it was shocking, and I won't argue that piece. What I'm getting at is they could have done a lot worse.
they could have. See, like the thing is, like I understand the what they did with Huey
Yes.
with they're trying to make a point of sexual assault on like because obviously like in general sexual assault is bad. um, and they kind of obviously with everything going on, they had to push the 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 I guess PTSD that Huey was going through to focus on the more important things going on, and they were playing it off that oh nothing really major happened, Huey's fine until he finally broke.
Yeah.
And like I understand that point where it's like also it's just like obviously in society men go through sexual assault as well, and it is generally oh just don't worry about it, push it aside, whatever, like it's mishandled, and that's how they were taking it in this episode. It was just everything coming together with that episode. It was just very like you said at the very beginning of the episode, you said it was very uncomfortable to watch,
I
and
think
I get that was the point.
it was definitely the point to be uncomfortable. Also, we also find out that Webweaver was the guy who gave Butcher and MM the information about Firecracker.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, because the enema full of heroin. Ugh. Ugh.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens next episode. Um, but it's leaning more obviously towards Butcher. I think leaning more towards Butcher. Butcher is going to obviously try to release the virus, and
Yes.
I was talking to somebody, and he was actually saying that um, this season is going to end with Homelander dying, and next season is going to be the boys hunting down Butcher. So I'm very curious to see what ends up happening.
I mean, that could be a possibility.
Yep.
I mean, I'll say this. That's not far fetched.
No, it's not. No, it's not. And it would make sense with the ending of season 5 being the end of the boys itself.
Yes.
So,
But I also don't think
obviously,
I don't think the final season's coming out next year.
but did I say it was coming out next year?
No, no, you didn't. I'm
Okay,
just
yeah,
saying.
no, no, no,
No,
I
no, no.
don't know.
No,
It's
you
going to be a
didn't.
few years.
I'm just saying, like, I think they're gonna do the same thing they did with this one, where they're gonna have the spin-offs come in to kind of tie in, and then
Yep.
come out. But yeah, yeah. I mean, this season's messing with me, and so I can't wait to see how it ends. But yeah. So if there's nothing else, speaking of uncomfortable, let's talk about your character spotlight.
Okay, well, so I heard a rumor last week that uh, the character that is going to be the main villain in the Superman movie is going to be a character named Ulysses. Um, Otherwise, no, his human name is Neil Quinn. Granted, I don't know how true this is. I have not heard anything official, so rumor. Um, but he is a character from the. Technically, he's from the second dimension, but he's from the fourth dimension, which I will explain. So, Ulysses, real name Neil Quinn, was the son of two scientists named Bridget and Peter. Both worked at the Ulysses Research Center. While they were in their lab, there was a leak of strange matter from Dimension 2, and the lab was locked down and readied for self-destruction. In an attempt to save their infant son, both parents agreed to send him to the unknown Dimension 4, where intelligent life similar to humans existed, and they had theories that their son would gain powers from the dimension's energies. 25 years later, he returned to find out that the planet he thought was destroyed is actually alive. So what happened was when their leak ended up causing a earthquake, and his parents thought the earthquake was going to be world-ending. So they sent him away to try to save him, and it turns out the earthquake wasn't as significant as they had originally thought. Ulysses returned to Earth hunting his enemy Cleric. Cleric was threatening him that he was going to destroy Earth, something that Ulysses didn't care about since he thought the Earth was destroyed to begin with. When Cleric invaded Earth, Superman opposed him, and the two had a battle in the middle of Metropolis. Ulysses appeared in the middle of the battle and assisted Superman in defeating Cleric. The two had a brief conversation, and Ulysses was shocked to find out Earth was alive and he wasn't alone. And Ulysses later found Clark at the Daily Planet as Clark was investigating the Ulysses research lab accident. The two of them left and went to Clark's apartment, where Clark revealed that he wouldn't reveal his secret identity to him if he couldn't sense him. And Ulysses and Clark had a conversation about secret identities, and they bonded over that factor. refreshed. Uh, Clark tells Ulysses to stay put to not cause any unnecessary drama in the planet, but does not follow Clark's suggestion. Um, so he eventually leaves and takes a stroll around Metropolis. Typical in Metropolis, an army of robots invade. Ulysses ends up helping Superman defeat the robots. After this fight, it is revealed that Superman went out, found information about the research lab accident that sent Ulysses away. And so Superman explained it to him. They went to a suburban house where they found that his parents actually are still alive. Ulysses' parents are still alive, and they had a happy heart-to-heart again. Hug, kisses, all that jazz. Later, Ulysses and Superman hunt together a known villain known as the Mechanic. My God, can't talk. The Machinist.
Okay.
The Machinist showed Neil the potential for evil humanity had. Having lost faith in humanity, Ulysses broadcasts to the whole world that he will return to the great world, believing that Earth doesn't have the potential for greatness. He said he will get only 6 million people from Earth and take them to the great planet, great world, where they will start anew. Later, Ulysses went to his parents' house to warn them not to go with him to the great world. Superman was standing in the shadows, and hearing what Ulysses said, he wanted answers. He confronted Ulysses, and when Superman confronted him, they had a fight. Ulysses knocked Superman out, rendering him useless. And while this fight was going on, to Ulysses' being unaware, Ulysses found out that his parents ended up getting on the ship that took him to the great world. Once Superman regained consciousness, they entered into a conversation once again, where Ulysses tells Superman why humans are actually a great need on the new planet. The humans would be fuel for the planet. They would be a power source. And so it turns out that this is not the first time this has happened. Other creatures have been the fuel for the planet. Once Superman learns of this, he tells Ulysses what ship his parents are on, and they go to stop the ship stop the, I guess, great journey. I don't know. This is a continuous back and forth where it's Superman and Ulysses fight. Then after they fight, they talk. Then they fight again, and then they talk. It's literally just back and forth of, they're very much frenemies, So I think that's, I got a chuckle out of that because it's just like literally back and forth. So his powers and abilities. He has very unique physiology because of his interaction with the fourth dimension. He has energy transference, which means he can absorb the energy that he absorbs can turn into different forms. So, for example, Superman's heat vision, he can absorb it and transform it into a red light pulse on his hand. He has energy projection. He has enhanced intellect, enhanced senses, flight, superhuman durability, as well as he is also immune to toxins, so he cannot be
Okay.
poisoned. He has superhuman speed, and he is so fast that he has the a possibility to catch Superman off guard. He has superhuman ability, agility, and reflexes, as well as superhuman strength and super breath. His weaknesses is that from the energy absorption, he can absorb too much and overload his body.
Okay.
That would render him uh, unconscious, I guess. But yeah, that is Neil Quinn, otherwise known as Ulysses. He is known as the last son of Earth because he thought his planet was destroyed when it turns out it wasn't. Um, like I said, I was just hearing rumors over the last couple weeks that this is the villain for the Superman movie coming out next year.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was cool to. I thought it would be nice to give a little bit of a backstory on him.
Yeah.
Not much on him, and like I said, just rumors doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. Most likely not, but new superhero, new Superman. I'm not going to say enemy, frenemy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is my character this week.
Awesome. All right. So if you've made it this far, everyone, we do have an announcement. Mike and I started filming together. We are playing a game against each other because Mike wanted to do a Soul Link Nuzlocke in general. So I thought, we got to ease ourselves into it. So we're going to start off with randomized red and blue Soul Link Nuzlocke. However, to decide who gets to be in charge of said, I don't want to phrase this, the encounters for the entire run, we had to do and we're still doing it, a whoever can beat classic Pokemon Rogue with just Gen 1 Pokemon gets to have all the first encounters. So those will be airing. We're going to be doing that twice a week. So on Wednesdays and Fridays, we'll be releasing those episodes, one each day for Wednesday and Friday. And we will still be doing this podcast. So we're adding something different. So right now it's just going to be the classic run of just Gen 1 for Pokemon Rogue. And then we'll be moving on to randomized red and blue of a Soul Link Nuzlocke. So make sure to like and subscribe to this channel to keep updated. And we'll be also having a playlist of each of our different games so you can see the entire content of it all. So in case we happen to air them by mistake or film them incorrectly, whatever it may be, or go back and forth because we've been sucking so bad at certain things, we'll have them all together. So just make sure to keep that on watch, and that will be starting this week. So thank you very much, guys. If you've made it this far, please make sure to like and subscribe, to also keep in touch with all our content for this channel, but also the podcast as well. Other than that, this is going to be Scott and Mike signing out of the Black Eel Podcast. Have a wonderful night.